Hello, this is Calvin Idle. Welcome to the Lavender Table, a web-based talk show for and about the LGBT community. And now, let's keep the conversation going with your host, Gary Elgin.
I'm sitting with Mike Neergaard, father of Marcel, child activist, gay rights advocate. Mike, you and I met at the Pride Fest picnic a few weeks ago, and I said something to you that I guess you took exception with slightly, and that was that I felt you were very different. I felt you were extremely unique in your parenting. You and your wife both, raising such an aware child and being fully supportive.
I sincerely hope that we're not that different. I don't think it should be exceptional to say that you love your child and that you love your child just the way they are. And so if it has to be said that accepting your child for who they are is exceptional, that's a very sad statement, and I sincerely hope it's not true.
But realistically, you and I both know of situations or of the possibilities of situations where parents have disowned or otherwise become distant from their children who have...
Yes.
What do you say?
If I could reach out to those parents, I would say to them, this is an opportunity for you to be educated. You grew up and you were told a lot of lies. You grew up and you were raised in a culture that did not understand. But now you can be educated about what being gay really is, and you can show your love for your children. And if you're a Christian and you believe in that strongly, this is an opportunity for you to show the love of Christ. And I think I would say to the children, don't believe it. You are wonderful the way you are. You didn't do anything wrong. It's not wrong to be you. You're okay the way you are.
Were you always raised with these opinions, feelings?
No, I myself had to become educated. My mother was born and raised here in East Tennessee, and her whole life, no matter how hard she tried, she could never lay down that last little bit of racism. And she wasn't a mean person, and she didn't want to be a mean person, but she could never quite let it go. And as I was raised in her home, I was sort of raised on some misconceptions about people and about the way the world works that I had to work to lay down and let go and accept people the way they are. So I wasn't raised this way, but thankfully I was able to educate myself, and I was able to learn to accept people the way they are.
How much of a responsibility do you believe has been thrust upon Marcel?
Some responsibility has been thrust upon Marcel, but I think Marcel, with his broad shoulders, has assumed a great deal of responsibility. Marcel has a big heart, and he wants to stand up not just for himself to say that I'm okay, but to speak for others, other children, other older people, other people who are suffering or being oppressed, to say, I stand for you too. If you can't speak for yourself, I will speak for you.
Is sexuality something that should only be talked about in the home?
Well, there are two things. No, sexuality is not something that should only be talked about in the home. Every member of our community should tell our children that safe sex is important. They should tell our children that the way you deal emotionally with relationships as you grow is part of a painful growing process, and sometimes you need someone to talk to, someone who is not your parents, because it's uncomfortable to talk to your parents. The other thing is, I think sometimes people mistake being gay or being lesbian or being transgender for being sexual. And that's not true. Marcel is 11. He's not a sexual being, but he is gay.
What do you think of his opinion that he may be bi?
I think there's plenty of time for him to resolve his feelings. I also think it makes not one bit of difference to me. If Marcel came to me tomorrow or 4 years from now and said, "Dad, I'm straight," or "Dad, I'm a girl," it would not matter to me in the slightest. I would give Marcel a hug and I would say, "Marcel, I love you just the way you are."
You and your wife really do love Marcel and your entire family very much. What do you say to your critics?
I think I have nothing in particular that I need to say to my critics. If they have something they need to say to me, I'm open to hear their story, and I'm open to talk with them about letting love into their heart. But I don't need to respond to them or convince them. As long as I am loving my family and supporting my children, that's enough for me.
What do you believe Marcel will be able to do in the next 10 years?
I believe that my imagination is not big enough to conceive of what Marcel will do in the next 10 years. I believe that Marcel will lead in some ways, will ride in some ways, will participate in some ways in a wave of acceptance for people and the acknowledgement of the reality of relationships for LGBT people. And I don't know what role he will play, but I do know that I will be very, very proud.
You've had quite a bit of notoriety as a family.
Yes.
With all of this. You've also had some detractors and some criticisms that have come to you through hate mail.
Yes.
Through phone calls, perhaps. How has that changed the way you live your life, or how has it affected your family?
It saddens us. Sometimes it makes us a little afraid to imagine that someone has that much hate in their heart that they would wish us ill. But as Marcel takes a stand, our family takes a stand. And we say, we will stand up as we are, using our real names and our real address, and we will say, come find us and ask us what love is. And that is a stand we make as a family. We stand with Marcel.
I stand behind my original statement. I think you both are unique, special, and I'm thrilled to have you as supporters of the community and of the human race.
It's an honor that you think so.
Thank you for Marcel, for your family. Thank you for putting yourselves out there in service.
And thank you for letting us join you at the Lavender Table.